Okay, right, it's not quite 100% dry yet, but it's dry enough to get some paint on it. Now, I'm going to be giving all the sandbags a coat of Vallejo mod colour. It's the dark sand. So you don't really need to see me painting sandbags. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give this, I'm not even going to prime it, I'm going to go straight on to the clay, to the sandbags. I'm not going to put no primer on. Personally, I don't think you need it. So I'm going to get on with that. I've got my wet palette there. Put a bit into there. So I'm going to get on with that, and I shall be back in a second. Right, I hope the volume picks up on this one this time. Okay, now what I've got is a little bit of light grey paint, and I've thinned it down quite a bit, and I'm going to use this just on the woodwork, just to give it, and that's not dark enough, so I'm going to have to add a little bit more. Definitely not dark enough. That weren't even a wash. No, that's a little bit better. So I'm just giving it just a light grey covering on all the woodwork, and this is going to be my basis for my weathering. My weathering, should I say? So I'm getting a bit tongue tied there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get all this washed in the grey, and the sides and the back, and then I shall come back to you when I've done that, and we'll go on to the next stage. Right, I've given the duckboards and the back sides a coat of the light grey that I just mixed up. Go all the way around. So all that's been just a coat of light grey, just a wash, that's it. Now I've got, hopefully this is going to be strong enough. I've just got some straightforward black wash now, and we're just going to give it all a black wash, as simple as that, to get my started. Now I'm going to do the wood and all the sandbags, everything in the black wash. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to put you on pause because this video is getting longer and longer, and I shall be back in a second. Everything's drying out. The black wash I put on has dried properly. It's dried overnight actually, and I've also pulled this little piece out here just to make some damage, and I've put a clean piece of balsa wood over the top of it, which I want just to be slightly lighter than the rest of it. Now next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to start putting just a little bit of texture in the wood. So I'm just going to put you on pause and lift you up, and I'm going to show you what I mean. Right, this is one of the duck boards, and what I have here is one of these. They're just wax modelling tools. You get a set of them. There's quite a lot of them, and they've all got all different ends on them. And what I'm going to do is use this. Keep the light on it without, and just literally score along the balsa wood, just to make that, just to bring the grain out. Now I'm going to do this on all of the wood, like so. Hope you can see how that's coming out. That will look better because we're going to put another very light wash on the top of that, just to bring the grain out. So I'm going to carry on, and I'm going to go all over all the wood like that, and then I shall be back to you again. Right, now I've been right the way over all the woodwork, and with the little scraper just lined it all through. I know it's very difficult to see, but believe me, there is some quite deep ones there. Right the way round and onto the back as well. So all the wood has been sort of like made grainy. Now, what I'm going to put on it now is a wash, another little wash, but this is, it's going to be difficult to show. Let's see if I can show you the wash. The wash is literally, I filled that up with thinners and I put just the end of a paintbrush. As you can see, look, it's virtually clear. It's almost transparent, but it's just got that very light brown in it. Now this is just to give the wood a little bit of warmth, and we'll try and put it back onto there. It's going to make not a huge difference, but it's just going to bring out what we've just scratched with the tools. I'm hoping you can see that. It really is subtle, but it does make a big difference. And the thing is, if it isn't strong enough, you can go over and give it another coat. So that's what I'm going to do all over the woodwork that I've just scraped, and believe me, it looks better when it dries. So I'll put you on pause again. I'll get on and get that done, and then I'll come back to you. Right, what I've done here, I've put one that's been washed and one that hasn't. The back one hasn't had a wash on it, of this very light brown, and the front one has. And it's very difficult to see. It's a very subtle change. It is a very subtle change, but it's there and it slowly builds up. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to get that one washed, and the next bit is I'm going to mix up slightly stronger, same colour, and we'll just go over it in areas instead of painting it all over. We'll just pick out areas. But I'll get that one done, and I shall be back to you in a second, and I'll show you the next step. Okay, this wash that I've mixed up here, now it's, if the first one I filled that up and just literally put a paintbrush full in. I've done exactly the same, but half filled it and then just put a paintbrush of brown in, which has just made it that slightly stronger, but not massively. Now what I'm going to do with this is literally just go patches across the wood, just random, giving it just a little bit here and a little bit extra there. Very subtle changes, but I think it's important to get them changes in. Now I'm going to leave that up there to one side and dry, and I'm going to do exactly the same on the rest of the wood, just little dabs here and there. Well, I'm hoping you can actually see those subtle changes of what I've just done. I've just flicked over very lightly in different areas, literally just getting the paintbrush and just going in little strokes across the wood, like so, literally with the brush almost dry, just giving it that little bit of depth, a little bit of warmth, because this wood is quite warm. I've done the same on the back as well. I've only just done that, so it's still drying. Right, now we'll move on to the next bit, which I haven't got myself ready for, so I'm going to put you on pause and we'll get on with the next bit. Okay, I've got myself sorted out now. Now, I'm going to be using, if we bring the camera back, we're going to be using a little bit of this. This is AK Slime and Grime Dark. Now, I did show you that, didn't I? Yeah. Slime and Grime Dark it is. On autofocus, and it don't want to focus. There we go. There it is. And this is enamel wash it is, and it's like a green. Now I've done exactly the same thing as what I did with the first wash. I've made a very, very, very almost transparent wash again. It's like you can see there, it's virtually transparent. And you bring it back up again. Now I'm going to do this in 2 stages as well. I'm just going to use this to bring to start getting some runs of water type thing down the, and it's going to be that subtle you're not going to see it, but it will be there. So I'm going to be doing that all the way just like that, very, very, very light, and letting it just run down from the top. And believe me, it is subtle, this one. It really is, because I don't like to go, I'd rather give it 2 coats than, you know, just one thick one and end up it looking a mess. So, and also there will be, I'll be running just a little tiny bit on the boards, because this it's just, I don't know, it's difficult to explain, but it's just getting the colours. Wood is such a difficult thing to get colours, because wood is made up of so many different colours, especially when it has been out in the weather for a while. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that round the back as well, and I'll get that done, and then I'll come back and we'll do the next one. Right, now I've done exactly the same thing again. Is I've put a little bit more green, made it a little bit more stronger. I'll try and show you. That is, as you can see, that it's just a little bit more stronger than the first one, and it's just a matter of building up layers. And you can't actually, well, you might be able to, because it's showing up quite well now. It's just to get these layers built up. So I think you can just about see that, because it's nice and wet. And then it goes lighter when it dries. Sorry, I'm talking because I'm concentrating there. Now, that to me, I'm quite happy with that. I'll put a little bit on the posts, because that's going to lighten up a real lot. I won't put none on the duckboards, because it's not an area that it would pick it up, but that's the area that there will be a lot of movement on, which we'll get to in a moment. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go all the way around now and just do that in places, and once it's dry I'll come back to you again. Okay, I've done my warm patches, as you can see, and now what I'm going to be using is a little bit of this. This is, I call it Mucky Puddles from AK. This is stuff that I do recommend, because I want all this bottom area where the sump is, I want it all to be wet, because that's what it was. It was a sump, and that's where all the water drained to. So this stuff is very, very easy to use. We literally squeeze it in, and you can see it sits. You have to work it in all the areas like so, and I'm afraid to say this bit is up to your what's it called now, artistic license. I'm just going to make that all nice and wet. I hope you can see what I'm doing. Nothing too technical. And also I'm going to sit the duckboard back on top of this while it's still wet. And that's going to hold the actual duckboard down. It saves glue. So that's that bit done. Nothing too mad. And bring that forward a little bit there. And we can always add a tad more when we're actually finished. So that duckboard now is going to go back on top there. And that's it. We've got the wetness. I don't know if you can see. That isn't that good. But believe me, it does look wet. Now, I'll probably put a few pins in that in a minute just to hold that in place while it dries. Now, another thing that I'm going to be using is another product from AK. I don't push products, but these two products I do use a lot. They're very good. They're very good. This one is Wet Mud. Now this is from their splash effects, and I find it very useful just to put muddy footprints and bits and pieces around. Now, as you can see, it's just like it's just a thick paste. I suppose really I could even make it up, but it's like everything else. You don't bother. So all we're going to use this for is that brush is too big, Simon. I'm going to put you on pause because I need to sort some brushes out. Okay, I'm back now. What we're going to be using this for is just where the duckboards are, because they would move. So when the soldiers walked on them, you'd get splashes of mud coming up through, especially through the joints, where the actual timber would go into the water and splash up. So I'm just going to go all the way along here, just putting little bits of wet mud all the way along that duckboard, and I shall be back again in a second. Right, now I've done some mud effects just down the back in between the boards, as you can see. I've also taken the tape off and just given that little bit of trim just a wash with a light brown, just to give it a bit of colour. I'm going to need to get that all masked off, and we'll get that sprayed with a gloss finish. Now I've done the mud effects, sort of like done them all the way round, just to well, just to finish it off and make it look a bit tinier. That's really it. Now I've finished with my weathering. Now, well, there might be just probably a little bit of pigment going in, and little bits that I might see that I just might pick out. But it's almost finished. Now I do say almost finished because it is missing a couple of bits. Now the first bit is some figures. Now I've just come offline and I've ordered some First World War figures, which I shall get painted, and they're going to go onto this. The second thing that is missing is some barbed wire and some picket posts along this back edge, and that's the reason why I haven't done anything at all up the top here. Now I'm going to do a complete video on the making of picket posts and the making of barbed wire, well, the way I make it. So I'm going to make that video and include the actual fitting of the picket posts and the barbed wire to this little diorama vignette, So hopefully within that video I can actually get that complete. I shall hopefully have the figures, get them painted, and then I can get it all finished off in that one video. Now that one video I will be starting on in the next few days, and hopefully, like I say, I can get the figures as well and I can complete it all as one. So that is it. I hope there's some bits and pieces you picked up there. You don't have to do the weathering the way I do it, you know, because you will find your own way of doing weathering. You know, weathering is, I find it a very personal thing, weathering actually. Techniques work for one and techniques don't work for other people, so it's just a matter of trial and error. So I'm going to thank you very much for joining me, and hopefully we'll see you on the barbed wire one. Okay, it's dry, well, ish, and what I want to do now is create a bit of wear on this bottom duckboard where there would have been a lot of traffic. Now I already started doing it. Now what I'm using is some airbrush cleaner. Oh, get it in shot. Some airbrush cleaner, just a bit, and a cotton wool bud. And you literally just put some on your cotton wool bud, and then, if my big hand isn't in the way, we just use it to wear away areas on the deck board. As you see, it's coming off. So that's how I get my wear and tear, should we say, where the soldiers would be walking up and down. Now I'm going to do that on this bit, on this duckboard. I might even do a couple of little areas up here where they would have been standing, and I should get that done, and then I shall come back to you.